Okay, Baruch Hashem, our weekly Parashas shiur, Parashas Vayishlach. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. We're going to learn a piece here from the Heilige Tosher Rebbe. This is the parasha where Yaakov Avinu is meeting the Sarah Shel Esav, and there's a big fight. This wasn't just a simple fight. This was essentially about who was going to rule this world, who was going to rule through all of space and time and for all eternity. And essentially it's all about Chanukah. The fight is really about the hidden light, the Or HaGonas. And it's really about the way that the world would go. Would it go in a way of pursuing God and light and connection to Hashem? Or would it go in a way of getting lost in the gashmias of this world, getting lost in the sauce of this world, and slowly just spinning out back to, God forbid, Avodah Avodah? So what happens? Yaakov Avinu prepares. He prepares. He hears that his brother Esav is coming, and he didn't sound like he was too happy. So what does Yaakov do? He davens. He prepares for war. He divides the camps. And it says, V'yar Yaakov me'od v'yetz aloi, and he was afraid. Yaakov was afraid. So says the Rebbe, a very simple question. Kfar amda mefarshim levar. Mefarshim already asked the question, which is, Ma haya yirasa shel Yaakov? Why should Yaakov be so afraid? Achrei she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu kfar hivticha l'shamna mikol ra. Hashem already said, I'm going to protect you from all evil. So why is Yaakov so afraid that his evil brother Esav is going to do something bad to him? Here it is a promise from God that it's going to be fine. What's the fear all about? It's a good question, right? It says that he was afraid. What's he so afraid about? The Gamtzar beer, another question we have to explain. Remember, he divided the camps because he was worried that if he doesn't, that Esav would come, God forbid, and destroy everybody. So he divides the camps that at least one camp would survive. The Rebbe asks, what? Just because he divided the camps, like, what, Esav can't destroy both? If Esav could come and destroy one, so why can't he destroy both? He's Esav. And when it says that when he came with 400 men, so the Medrash says it wasn't just 400 men. It was 400 men. Men mean men. Men mean heads of armies. So he came with 400 heads of armies. There were 400 generals with their armies that were just waiting for Esav to twitch with all of their guns and pointed at Yaakov. They were just waiting for the sign. So what, Esav couldn't take out the other camp? So look what the Rebbe says. This is so beautiful, and he quotes from a Sefer that my Rebbe loves tremendously. It's always nice when you see that. The Tosher Rebbe says, I saw a nifladika thing. So when the Tosher Rebbe says, I saw a wondrous thing, you know it's going to be wondrous. I saw a wondrous thing in the Sefer Or HaGanuz. There's a Sefer called The Hidden Light. It's one of my Rebbe's favorite Sfarim. La Rav HaKadosh Rabbi Yehuda Leib HaKoyin Ma'anapoli, from the Tzaddik, who was a Talmud of the Maggid from Mezrich. And he's buried, like you see, Be'ir Anapoli, Samach Litzi, in the Rabbi HaMaggid, right beside his Rebbe, the Maggid. That's a big thing, by the way, where you're buried and beside who. There's a lot of stories about that. People and trying to make sure that they're by certain people, because there's a connection. There's something about that. The Sefer Meyusad, the whole Sefer Meyusad means is based on the following. I know a lot of these words for many people, it looks like, is this hieroglyphics? Not to mention it's all in Hebrew, but it's Rashi script. But one of the ways that you learn Hebrew is just day after day, like water drops going onto the rock of Rabbi Akiva, and it makes a hole, it makes a difference, day after day. So seeing, it says, the oisios semachkim is just looking at Hebrew letters make a person wise. So just seeing it day after day, it starts to penetrate and pierce into your heart. So the whole Sefer is based on one of God's names. The whole Sefer or Agonis is based on the name of God called Ekve. A Aleph and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. That's one of God's secret names. Anybody know the gematria of that name? Ekve. Ekve. Aleph and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. You got this, David. Hit it. Aleph is 1. Hey is 5. 5. And plus another 5. 17. Aleph and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. Aleph is 1, a Hey is 5, a Vav is 6, and another Hey is another 5.
5 plus another 5.
Oh. Ekve. Shem Ekve. Don't worry. You'll learn Gemara Sukkah, your brain will start thinking mathematically again. It's all in the Gemara, by the way. If you learn the Gemara, your math will be sharp. Yeah, it's all there. So the entire book is based on that name of God. Where's the first time we see that name? It's actually an interesting name. It's not a name that you see written in the Torah. It's only hinted to in the Torah. It's a name that's only hinted to in the Torah, which already shows that the idea of this name is there's something hidden. It means a hiddenness of God. What does this name represent? This name represents the hidden light, the Or Agonos. This is the name of Chanukah, the Or Agonos, the name of the hidden light of God, which is the light that Hashem brought out at the beginning of creation, and God hid this light. He hid this light so that evil people wouldn't come and take this light, because if you had this light, you can do wondrous things with this light. The gematria of this light is Tov, good. It's called the Or Ki Tov. So God hid this light, and He hid this light for the righteous in the times of Mashiach. But it says that God also put this light into Geniza, the Or HaGonos. It's Gonos. Where's the Geniza? It's in the Torah. So if a person learns the Torah looking for this light, any page of Gemara, anything you learn, any Rabbi Sachs, Schus Yagen Aleinu book, you will find this light coursing through it. This is called the hidden light. So an evil person that learns, he won't see this light. But the tzaddikim that are learning to find the hidden light, they have to just look deeper, and all of a sudden everything illuminates in a totally different way. Where do we find this light mentioned? From the Rosh Tevis, from the acronym in the first verse of the Torah. Who knows the first verse of the Torah? I'll give you the first word. Bereshis, Bara, that's the second word. Elokim, Eis ha-shamayim, ve-eis ha-aretz. Anybody see any acronyms there?
Oh, is that the Aleph and the...
Aleph and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey. Ekve. Eis is the Aleph. Ha-shamayim. Hey. Ve-eis. Vav. Ha-aretz. Hey. Aleph and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. What does it mean, Eis ha-shamayim, Eis ha-aretz? God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth. It means this name is connecting heaven and earth. When you have this name, you're able to connect heaven and earth like one, which means you could bring down miracles. You can bring down godly light, and you could completely make this land connected to its source, where this world doesn't feel like a separate world, where this world feels totally connected to its source above, to God, and all of a sudden your actions in this world take on a lot more meaning, because they're not separate. This is the name called the name of Das, the name of connection. Even in the first verse, it's Eis HaShamayim ve'Eis HaAretz, connecting heaven to earth. Heaven means the beyondness of everything, the depth of everything. And Aretz means down here in this world, which is the world of free will. The world up there, there's no free will. The world down here is the world of free will. So this name, Eis HaShamayim ve'Eis HaAretz, the entire Sefer or Agonos, is The entire book is written showing how every single thing that the Torah is really talking about, every single parsha is really just talking about this name. It's like a good one to have on the shelf. And more than having on the shelf, you should learn it as much as you can. My Rebbe used to give an Erev Shabbos Chabura just in the Sefer. Which itself, Friday is also an inyan of Eisa Shemayim Ve'esa Aretz because it's connecting the days of the week to Shabbos. So the whole inyan of this name of connecting is to connect. Umafarsh B'Sifrei Kol Inyan Parashas HaTorah Al Pi Shem Zeh. And all of the parashas of the Torah are explained according to this name. Ki Kol HaBriya Misnaheges Al Pi Shem Zeh. The entire world is being guided according to this name of God. Kamosh Nikra Shem Zeh B'Zor HaKodesh. This name is called in the Holy Zohar Gushpanka. Yeah, it's a pretty cool one. Agushpanka. You like that? It's the first time you heard that before? Gushpanka de Chasim Bei Shemai V'Ar. Gushpanka means like a seal. Like the king puts his seal down, that it now binds together heaven and earth. This is the glue. This name is the glue that binds heaven and earth. Ekfe. Eis HaShamayim Ve'eis HaAretz. Umevar beParsha Zu. Now look what the Rebbe says about our parsha, about this name. Ki kasher berach Yitzchak es Yaakov. Remember when Isaac gave the blessings to Yaakov? What was he really giving to Yaakov? What was the blessing really all about? Amar loy v'yiten l'cha ha'elikim mitala shamayim mishmanei haaretz. He wasn't just telling him that you should have tal, you should have a bunch of dew, and like some fat, the fats of the land, v'roif dogam v'tiroish, and like good food, steaks, good bread. He was telling him, umishmanei haaretz v'roif. What are the first letters there? Vav and a hey and a vav. That's the gematria of this name, Eisa Shemayim Ve'esa Aretz. He was really giving him this name. That was the blessing. He was telling him, if you have this name, then you'll have the blessings of this world. All of the fats of the land and all the blessings from heaven is because you have this name. Once you have this name of God, that's where all blessing comes from. And when you start meditating on this name, you can bring blessing into the world. You know, what do you think that tzaddikim were doing when people would come to them and there would be no food, and all of a sudden they'd say, we have no food in the house. And I wonder if it's in Machlis, when they didn't have barley for the children, famous stories, and all of a sudden and a girl walks in and says, I have 2 duffel bags of barley. I just happened to. I wonder if Rebbe's in Machlis, I'm sure she was just living in this name. So blessing just came into the world. Eisa Shemayim Ve'esa Aretz, the gushpanka of the king, the seal that if there needs to be children in the Machlis house, then the barley will just fall out of heaven. Because there needs to be children. So heaven and earth start to kiss. There's a bonding. There's a unification that's happening. So Yitzchak gave Yaakov this name. And this, that he told him after he gave him this name, after he gave him this name, he says, and all the nations of the world will be subjugated to you. All the evil nations that try to mess around with you, Yaakov, you have this name. This name, you'll be able to use it any time that you need, and you'll be able to push away any threats. Because in the power of this name, you can subjugate all the 70 evil forces of the world. And through this, Yaakov got a very strong power. Yaakov was able to overcome any single person, any single energy that would try to overcome him. And on this, V'al zeh amar Yaakov b'Parsha Zu, Katointi mikol hachasodim umikol ha'emes asher asisa esavdecha. That Yaakov says to Hashem, I'm so humbled, I become small by all the goodness and all the truth you've done to me, Hashem. And of course, hachasodim, mikol, ha'emes, asher. He's saying, because you gave me the shame of Ekve, the Aleph and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey, Rosh Tevis. Again, you're starting to see that it's woven into the Torah in certain places. You gave me this name. I'm so indebted to you, God. Because the goodness that I can use this name and you bring blessing to me. And with my makel, avarti, I crossed over, I crossed over the Jordan. Ve'ato, Rosh Tevis, hayarden azeh ve'ato, same gematria. 17. Ekve. Gam Tevis hazeh, I crossed over this Jordan. You don't even need to say hazeh, I crossed over the Jordan. No, hazeh, gematria, 17. Gematria tov. Ekve. You gave me this name. Why? Because with this name, ubezeh remez shebekoyach shem zeh, haya bekoyach lavar es hayarden. With this name, you could cross over the Jordan River. Why not just split the Jordan River if you need to? Kamay Shamar Chazal. That what happened? Nosan maklei beyarden. That Jacob put his staff into the Jordan. The Nivka Yarden. And the Jordan River split. Because if you have this name, you're connecting heaven and earth. Earth is no longer bound by what you think, that water has to just stay at the lowest point of gravity. That name, and interesting, the makel, he put a stick in. The stick is also a connecting letter. Ekve, connecting, just like the vav. The vav is a letter that connects from the top of the line to the bottom of the line. So the vav is also the connection letter. Yaakov put his stick in and he connected heaven and earth, and with that you can do miracles. Ki b'shem zeh misugal lasos nisim. If you know the secrets of this name, you can do miracles. This is a name of miracles. This is a name of overcoming forces of evil. Because heaven and earth all of a sudden kiss. Evil is only a product that I don't see how heaven and earth could touch. But once I know that heaven and earth can come together, then evil is banished. So then you might ask me, so what was Yaakov so worried about when he met with Esav? What was the big fear? That was our original question. So look what the Rebbe says. V'Yaakov hisyara shema berach aviv gamis Esav b'shem zeh. Yaakov was worried, maybe Yitzchak gave this name also to Esav. And if Esav has the shem ekveh, then that's not, I have to be careful. If he could use the shem ekveh for evil purposes, then he could destroy everything. Because if you're in charge of that power, then you become like God, and you could destroy everything. Yeah.
Oh, so what's the difference between the yud and the aleph? Because the hey above and the hey, like those are both the same for two God's names.
So ekve is a shem that is specific, that needs the aleph. The aleph is a unification letter. That in that aleph takes us to a place of, even the letter aleph is a unification letter, because the top part is the yud, the bottom part is the yud, and the vav that connects them to. The aleph is like the ekve. The whole of the ekve is even in the aleph. It's the connection of heaven and earth.
And then what's the significance of the yud?
Just the yud is, in a certain way, like a very high, that God's is just existence. The yud is chachma, it's like a unified point. Here we're talking about more unification within the lower worlds. V'al ze amar. So what did he say? Im yavai Esav el hamachna ha'achas v'hikahu. And if Esav comes to one of the camps and strikes it, what is he saying? El aleph hamachna, to the camp. Hey, ha'achas, another hey, v'hikahu, and he strikes it. Ekvin. Maybe he's coming with that name and he could use it to strike down the camps. Right? Saloimer. So he could strike down the camp. He could destroy one of the machanas with that name. But the other one, I also have that name. So I'll be able to at least save that other camp. But if he comes on me straight, I'm not sure. Esau's very powerful. Maybe he got that name. Ki shem zeh mesugal lifol nisim l'malam min hateva. Because this name is very, very powerful. Aval Yitzchak Avinu nizar mizeh. Yitzchak was very, very careful. He knew, I'm not going to give him this name. That's why the brachos were different. Only Yaakov got this name, but Esav never got this name. Never got this name. Look down at the bottom. The kasher ba Esav al Yaakov, and when Esav came and he finally met Yaakov, hirgish b'koyach tumasai, he felt even with his tumah as koyach hakedusha shel Hashem hagadol hashol Yaakov. Esav felt that Yaakov had this name, and he was afraid of it. V'hivin shemikoyach zeh lo yuchal lishleit alav. He realized, I'm not going to be able to overcome him. V'zeh v'yisas einav, and that's what it means that he lifted up his eyes. V'yar es hanoshim ve'asal yelodim. Es aleph. He saw the women and the children, and in that place he saw that they were being protected by that name. An aleph and a hey and a vav and a hey. Es, aleph, hanoshim, hey. Ve'es, vav. Hayelodim, hey. Rosh Tevis, Shem Zeh. Va'amalei milacha kol hamachane hazeh. And he said, who's all this camp? Hazeh. That's the name. 17. Ekve asher pogashti. Hazeh b'gematris Shem Zeh. V'lachein his abek imay. And that's why he fought him. He fought with Yaakov because he wanted to steal that name. He wanted to steal that name. And Esav at that moment put up the fight of his life because he wanted to essentially destroy the world. And he wanted to take that name away from Yaakov Avinu. But Yaakov fought, and Aloisa Shachar. But it says that he got hit in the Gid Hanasha. In this week's Parsha we learn you can't eat the Gid Hanasha, the sciatic nerve. You can't eat it because he was struck there. The Gid Hanasha, what's Gid? A Gimel Yud Daled, Gematria 17. He was hit in that place that he was trying to grab this name of Ekve from Yaakov Avinu, but he wasn't able to. But he was damaged. So what did Hashem do the next morning? He brought out the sun. What's the Shemesh? The Shemesh is Ekve, even greater strength. And the sun came and healed. The sun is Mamish Hashem bringing that name, the Shem Hadas, the Oragonos, the light itself started shining to Yaakov. And it healed him. This name is a name that we're going to have for all eternity. Now, why did Hashem make it this way? Because he wanted Yaakov to daven. He didn't tell Yaakov, I didn't give Esav this name. He could have just said, I didn't give Esav this name. You have nothing to be afraid of. Because you see what it is? Hashem wants us to daven. Hashem Mamish wants us to daven like everything depends on it. Because when you daven that everything depends on it, you become a partner with Hashem in creating the whole world. Hashem's giving us these names. He's giving us these powers. But He wants you to daven. He wants you to mamish daven, to overcome Esav. He wants you to be a partner with Him in creation. So we should be zeicha to this. We should be zeicha to the Shem Ekfe. This is the light that can let us see from one end of the world to the other. This is the light of Chanukah. This is the light of the Oragonos, the hidden light. This is the light that the Yevonim, that the Hellenists tried to steal from us. And to say this light doesn't exist. There's no light like this. What you see is just what you see in front of your eyes. Don't think there's any light. Don't think this world is connected to an infinite creator. They want to darken our eyes. They want to make our eyes all dark. That they want to make our eyes dark. But we have to fight with the light of the Oragonos and to learn the Torah and to find this hidden light in these parashas to connect to Yaakov Avinu, who's fighting with the power of this light. And then with that, we'll be able to do miracles, be able to do nisim, we'll be able to bring hashpais and tremendous things for all of Klalis, for all of humanity. We should be zoged this with Mashiach Tzidkein b'mher v'yaminu. Amen. Amen. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Kol Tov. Shabbos.